we're going to talk about mentors. Every successful entrepreneur has them, but how do you find the right mentor? How do you reach out to someone that's a really either famous or very accomplished person, someone that you look up to, but don't have a direct relationship with yet? How do you reach out to that person to ask them if they are okay with mentoring you, if they would be interested in mentoring you specifically? So we want to talk about that today. We will start with what is a good mentor relationship and then how you build it, how you reach out. So Derek, let's get into it.
Okay, so mentor is different than an advisor or mentor relationship has an emotional bond that's created where the mentor cares about you being successful rather than it being a monetary transaction, which would be the case of an advisor or the case of a coach who may not get paid directly to help you, but whose primary goal is just to make sure that you're good at a specific skill, and they'll help you practice it and get better at that. And so that's coaching. Mentor is there to help you understand how to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And a great mentor is enormously valuable. And it's important that the mentor have experience, more experience than you. And it's great when that experience relates to what it is that you want to accomplish. So role models, mentors that are role models are incredibly powerful. I want to be like so-and-so and successful like so-and-so. But if you don't know that person, that can be very scary to do. And people are often very apprehensive about approaching strangers. And indeed, as somebody who's worked with a lot of entrepreneurs, I get approached all the time. And I say, no, unfortunately, I don't have the time. And so that fear of getting turned down also makes it super apprehensive, for a person to go reach out to, somebody that they admire. But it is possible. So, we wrote about it in the newsletter, and this is an important thing to talk about.
Yeah. And, one thing is the apprehension to even reach out. Then on the other side, what we also often see is that there's some founders that are highly confident and they send a AI generated boilerplate sounding email or message to the person that they admire and want, them to become their mentor. And that also obviously backfires, because if you're reaching out to people that are busy, often still running businesses successfully, and they're getting an email that sounds very generic and has no personal part in it at all, then naturally, why would someone care? So today we want to pick these things apart and hopefully, on the one hand, give you tools on how to create a real mentor relationship. And in turn, then with those tools and skills that you develop, also lose a little bit of that fear and apprehension to reach out in the first place, because you know that you're well equipped to write a very personal introduction and build a personal relationship with your potential mentor. So let's dive into that.
Yeah. So I should say that there's a prerequisite. We're going to talk, or I'm going to talk about shared objectives and relationship building skills, which we go into depth in one of our sprints.
Yes.
So sprints 8, 9, and 10 talk about relationship building and how a relationship is based upon two people sharing an objective. So go and listen to that sprint. It only takes about 12 or 15 minutes or something like that. But I'm going to talk about the specific of how you use the relationship building skills to approach a potential mentor. And it involves this shared objective. So what do you share with this stranger, who you admire? Well, you do share a desire to make that person feel good about what they have accomplished. So you're going to make that person feel happy, that and you admire them for what they've accomplished. So that is what you're offering them. And you're offering them that as, in the parlance of modern day marketing, sort of as a freebie. You're going to give them your sincere reasons for admiring what they've done and how they've done it. Okay. When you do that, that hugely increases the probability that the person is going to read your email, your outrage, maybe your DM. And if they feel that you're sincere, they will be motivated to respond.
Mm-hmm.
What you want to do with, hey, here's why I really admire what you've done, is that you want to end it with asking them a very short bit of advice, something that's really easy that they can answer in a one-liner. Hey, I would really value your advice in, how I'm thinking about whether or not to, create a startup on this or on that. And so you're giving the opportunity of the person to respond to you with, hey, I can't say that I can give you absolute advice, but this sounds much better than that. Okay. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your reaching out. And they send it back to you. Okay. Well, when they send that back to you, that gives you the opportunity to say, I took your advice and it turned out really well for me. I want to thank you so much for doing that. The chances of the person reading that are very high.
Mm-hmm.
They'll feel good that they gave you good advice. They'll be a little more intrigued. They'll certainly remember you now. And so this gives you the opportunity to ask for another bit of advice. This one can be a little deeper. The first one, you're not writing an essay. Mm-hmm. You're not writing 3 paragraphs.
Very important.
You're just writing 2 or 3 sentences, this is what I'd like your advice on. But the second time, you can write 1 paragraph, full paragraph, and maybe a little bit of the second paragraph asking for, again, their advice. They should be able to give you the advice in 1 paragraph. So don't ask them to write an essay or analyze something for you at this point. But by making that second request just a little deeper, a little more thoughtful, you're creating this relationship with them where they know who you are, getting to know a little bit about how you think, getting to feel good about the advice that they can give you, and they'll answer you again. So at that point, you're no longer a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
What's the best thing that you could do is, if you're close enough, okay, is just to offer, can I just come by and say, on the second piece of advice, wow, it was fantastic. What happened? It was amazing. It would be great if, I happen to, be coming to the neighborhood near you. Could I just shake your hand and thank you? And do not ask for coffee. That's 15 minutes is way too much time to ask for. You're just asking for enough to go shake hands and say thank you in person. It's quite hard for somebody to, I don't want you to thank me. It may be a little complicated in terms of how this happens. If they have an office or a place of business, it's sort of like, sure, if you're in the area, I'll come out and shake your hand. That's not asking, too much, and they'll do that. If and when they do that and they meet you in person, tell them how much you admire them again. Tell them how much their advice has enabled you to be more successful than you could have done without it. And, you have somebody that you can reach out to on occasion thereafter and ask for more advice, and they care about you.
So a few things to pull out from this, because we have spoken to many entrepreneurs about specifically this topic. One, before you even reach out to a potential mentor, it's important that you do lots of research. Yeah. You want to not just reach out to someone because they're famous or they just made a lot of money. You want there to be sincere interest in the person, and you want to really know as much about the person as possible, because it allows you to find more of the shared objectives and really identify what could build a long-term deep relationship between the two of you. The second thing is sincerity. We walk you through the mechanics of this, but it only works if you're truly sincere about your interest in that particular person and in the advice you're asking, applying the advice, because that is the only way a long-term mentorship can actually form. And then the last point is worth pointing out, as you've probably now already understood from Derek walking through, is there is no shortcutting building a lasting, valuable mentorship relationship. It will take time that you need to invest to build a really strong mentor-mentee relationship. But if you do all of those three things, there's a much, much higher chance that you actually get there and benefit greatly from it. And not just you as the founder, but typically, and that is what Derek pointed out at the beginning, the mentor as well. And that's what makes that a very powerful, very distinct relationship that you want to have in your founder and entrepreneur life.
Write your note sincerely in your own voice. Don't ask AI to correct.
No, exactly.
Don't ask for too much. Ask for a little bit. Then you can ask for just a little bit more. Don't ask them to read your business plan or more than just a little one sentence or two about who you are. Make it easy for them to care about you.
Especially the first few times, you want that to be the main goal, because over time that relationship will then develop and expand, and you will have the deeper, longer conversations. Great. So that's an important topic, and we've seen it many times over. Hopefully this is providing some help and guidance. As Derek mentioned at the beginning, on the relationship building skills specifically, we have 3 sprints, all the way from understanding shared objectives to practicing your relationship building skills. Make sure you check those out and practice them, because they're foundational to any relationship, but especially when you want to establish a mentor relationship.